He thought I was the villain, so he tried to poison me. But what he misunderstood changed all of our lives. This is not just a family story, it is a chilling lesson about fear, trust, and what a child's mind can hide. Stay with me because what happens next will shock you to your core. My name is Rachel. I married my husband, Thomas, 3 years ago. He had a son, Eric, from his previous marriage. Eric was 12 when I first met him. At first, things were smooth. Eric was quiet, polite, but distant. He would nod when I spoke, but rarely said much. Still, I gave him space, hoping he would warm up. Thomas worked long hours at the hospital. Most evenings, it was just me and Eric at home. I made dinner. He ate quickly and disappeared into his room. One rainy evening, I heard a crash from upstairs. Rushing up, I found Eric standing over a broken lamp. His eyes were wide. His hands trembled. "I thought I saw something move," he muttered. I looked around. Nothing seemed out of place. Just the broken lamp and a trembling boy. Later that week, things started to feel off. Eric would stare at me during meals. Not just glance, stare. His expression unreadable. One night, I found a notebook on the kitchen table. It had Eric's name on it. Curious, I opened it. My hands went cold. Inside were drawings. Page after page of me. Sleeping. Cooking. Sitting in the backyard. There were notes, too. She smiles when she lies. She's trying to replace Mom. She poisoned Dad's coffee. I felt dizzy. The room spun. This was not a child's imagination. This was fear wrapped in suspicion. I waited until Thomas got home. I showed him the notebook. He rubbed his forehead, confused. "He never mentioned any of this," he whispered. We decided to talk to Eric together. He sat on the couch, arms crossed. Thomas asked gently, "Why do you think Rachel is trying to hurt us?" Eric's eyes filled with tears. His voice cracked. "Because I heard her talking to someone on the phone. She said once he is out of the way, things will be easier." I stared at him, shocked. Then it hit me. He had overheard me speaking to my sister about her messy divorce. I tried to explain. I told him I was talking about her husband. Not Thomas. Not him. Eric's face changed. Realization swept across it like a storm. His hands flew to his mouth. "I thought you meant Dad." The tension in the room broke, but only for a second. Because then Eric said something none of us expected. I already did something. I thought I was protecting him. My heart stopped. "What did you do?" Thomas asked, his voice hoarse. Eric stood slowly. He pulled something out of his hoodie pocket. A small glass bottle. The label had been peeled off. "I put this in your tea, Rachel. I thought it would just make you sick, make you go away." The room fell silent. Only the sound of the wind outside. Thomas reached for the bottle. His face was pale. I clutched the edge of the table to steady myself. My knees felt weak. My chest was tight. Eric broke into sobs. "I thought I was saving my family. I did not know I was wrong." I looked at this boy, my stepson. Tears in his eyes. Poison in his hand. And I wondered how close I had come to never waking up. Thomas immediately called the poison control center. He followed their instructions while I sat on the floor, shaking. Eric was sobbing in the corner, hugging his knees, whispering over and over, "I am sorry, I am sorry." An ambulance arrived within 15 minutes. They checked my vitals, asked what I had consumed. Thankfully, I had not drunk the tea yet. It was still sitting on the kitchen counter, untouched. The paramedics took the bottle. They said it would be analyzed. One of them looked at me and said quietly, "You are very lucky." Thomas stayed by my side the entire night. We barely spoke. The silence was heavy, like wet wool. Neither of us knew what came next. Eric was taken to the hospital for psychological evaluation. Not as a criminal, he was just a confused boy. But it broke something between us. Something I was not sure could be repaired. Days passed in a blur. I would sit in the kitchen, staring at that empty chair. The one Eric always sat in. I could still hear his laugh from the early days. When he finally began to trust me. And then I would remember the notebook, the drawings, the bottle, the stare. A week later, Thomas and I visited him. He looked smaller in the hospital room.
Pale. Worn.
Like a child who had been chasing ghosts. When he saw me, he flinched. I stepped closer. He started to cry again. I really thought you were going to hurt Dad. I sat beside him. I know, I said quietly. And that is what hurts the most. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes. I ruined everything, did I not? I wanted to say yes, but I looked at Thomas. I looked at the boy who was lost in grief and confusion. And I whispered, maybe this is where we start to fix it. Because family is not just built in happy moments. Sometimes it is rebuilt from the shattered ones. Weeks turned into months. Eric continued therapy. Thomas and I attended family sessions with him. It was slow. It was painful. But it was progress.
There were setbacks.
Moments when Eric could not meet my eyes. Moments when I flinched at his voice. But there were also moments of healing. He began drawing again. Only this time, flowers, not fears. One afternoon, I found a new notebook on the kitchen table. On the cover, Eric had written, "Things I understand now." Inside were short notes. I was afraid. I did not ask questions. I thought she was taking my mom's place. She was not. She was just trying to love me. Tears filled my eyes. This was not a perfect ending.
But it was honest. And it was enough.
We are still finding our way. Still learning how to be a family. Not the one I imagined, but one forged through truth, pain, and forgiveness. And sometimes, the strongest families are the ones that break, then choose to heal. Together.